Jumping lunge progression level 1. In the jumping lunge progression level 1 exercise, we're going to start with doing all the reps on one leg. So you're going to step back into the lunge position. And as you already know, you've had a lot of training in lunges. That's why we've given you this exercise, because you've basically qualified to now be doing plyometrics with the lunge. So what you need to do is get into a lunge position, which is with this front foot forward, perfectly straight. So you want it to be perfectly straight forward, okay? Now, the next thing is most of the load, or almost all of the load and pressure from this exercise is going to go through the center of the heel. Next, you want to see that the patella tendon is directly in line with the second and third toe. That's both in the preparatory phase when you're doing these bounces I'm going to show you, also when you explode, it's going to stay, and even when you get into the squat position, in the landing position, you're going to have this in line with the second and third toe. Next, you want the patella tendon to be perfectly in line with the hip or the acetabulum. So you want a straight line here, straight line all the way down through the second and third toe. Next, you coming up the kinetic chain, you want the pelvis to be horizontally perfectly aligned. You do not want a Trendelenburg. Let's show what a Trendelenburg is, this direction. So what's happening here, the glute medius is getting weak, is getting into a long position, and then this side is falling, and as this side falls, we're getting shear stress in the spine, in the hip, grinding in the joints. It's all really bad stuff that both decreases performance, the force that's being applied attenuates at this joint, adding damage and altercations to the body in this area, typically resulting in different forms of musculoskeletal pathologies, so you want to keep that pelvis level. Then what you want to do is make sure that the spine stays upright, okay? So pelvis is level, spine is upright, tiny little curve in the lower back, upper back basically straight, and the ear directly over the middle of the shoulder. Back leg is there for a little bit of balance, and it does apply some pressure, but really your whole focus is about this front leg and the glute and hip musculature all working to drive that motion. Now let's get into the motion, now that you know all that. So all those things you just learned, they stay throughout all of the motion, everything we're doing. Keep that in a line 100% of the time. Okay, so come on down to the descension of the motion here. So as we get into in-range eccentric action, or basically the bottom position of this exercise, what we want to do is just 2 or 3 preparatory bounces. So nice and easy, you're just getting your muscles ready to fire. Let's do that one more time, 2 or 3, and then you're going to jump. And I'm pausing there on purpose because I'm not going to try to talk through the dog. So yours should be in squat because I think all the way through jump. Yeah. So once you've jumped, then what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that the pelvis is, again, stays neutral. The butt goes back because you want to recruit with the glutes, right? You don't want the knees to go far forward, because if the knees go far forward, we're getting a lot of pressure in the patellofemoral head here, and it's starting to add shear stress in the patellofemoral head, which is the number 4 reason why patients of physicians come to see them for musculoskeletal reasons, because they have pain in this area. So let's stay away from that. Pelvis stays neutral while you're in that squatted position, and that spine stays aligned. And from this diagonal angle, the center of the ear is still in line with the middle of the shoulder. So let's stand back up. Let's get back into the position, and let's do a couple reps in real time. 2, 3 bounces. Boom. Yep. Glutes are back, and so let's talk about this. One of the reasons why you want the glutes and the hips to really come back, and why it is important, and it's total BS how you hear sometimes, even in sports med, even some PTs talking about how it's okay for the knees to come forward over the toes. No, it's not, because every rep you do is programming your body. It's not that you're going to fall apart if you're an athlete, if your knees go over your toes. It's not going to happen. But what you will do is you're programming your body to function dysfunctionally in a way that it doesn't have the most amount of performance and increases the likelihood of alterations in length tension relationships, which will weaken the tissue where it should be in the strongest position, and it can add grinding to the joints. So adds grinding to the knees by coming forward. Is it going to break you with one rep? Absolutely not. But those other things I just talked about will happen. Let's come back down into the squat. So in this landing position, you want to recruit the glutes, have the butt come back. Why? Because the glute max, the focus of the glute max is to stabilize the pelvis in a proper position in comparison to the spine and drive into hip extension. Or coming down, resist the forces of dropping back down. So it recruits, pushes the pelvis forward, and also it resists this descension motion. And the glute max is the strongest muscle in the legs. It's one of the strongest muscle in the lower body. So you want to be able to use that. You don't want to become quad dominant. You want to have glute strength so you can run fast, you can jump high, you can be very athletic. It's very important for the hip musculature to be involved. So quite simply, let's do one more rep in real time. Boom. And you're just landing as soft as you possibly can with all those mechanics we talked about. Now I talked to you a lot here in this video because we're going to go through another 3 levels of progression. That was the first progressional level of jumping lunge.